Assalamu alaikum. I'm Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. I wanted to bring my love and joy and support to Islamic Relief during this Ramadan season. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you.
Let us salute Islamic Relief USA for living up to the calling of this holy month, helping local organizations, providing food security, health care, and financial assistance to struggling communities and resettled refugees.
Our Muslim American community has been on the front lines in Florida's 9th Congressional District and other areas of the nation to help us recover.
I'm grateful for all the work they are doing in my district and around the world.
Islamic Relief USA is constantly working together for a better world.
Your charitable efforts to help reduce hunger, educate refugees, and assist survivors of domestic abuse embody the noble values that are honored in Ramadan.
Your work to put the Muslim values of community and charity into action has helped not only provide food, but also healthcare, financial assistance, and many more hit hardest by this pandemic.
Islamic Relief USA and the Muslim American community in my district have lived those values to the fullest these last 2 years.
Thank you to Islamic Relief USA for the work you do to lift the voices of Muslims all around the world.
As we continue to fight for a more just and more tolerant world, I am honored to be your partner in Congress.
It's this community care that binds us as a global human family.
We are better for all that you have contributed and the difference that you make.
I wish you and all of my Muslim brothers and sisters a blessed month of peace and spiritual renewal.
May peace and love be brought upon you. Ramadan Mubarak.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everybody, I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you are having a fabulous Sunday. I want to give a shout out to Sister Tana, who reminded me that for the first time in a long while, we have Passover, Good Friday, Easter, and Ramadan occurring in the same space. So we're doing some special things here. Also want to give a shout out to some of the people who've been contributing to the Send Preacher Moss to Prison campaign. Wow, we are very blessed. We actually got over $3,000. Allah is merciful, merciful, merciful. I want to give a shout out to Sharif Ali. I want to give a shout out to Imam Tyree Alameen, better known as Imam Tyree Boyd. I want to give a shout out to Sister Sue Betty from Impact Hollywood Bureau. I want to give a shout out to Brother Fahim. I want to give a shout out to, I got a lot of people to give a shout out to. I'm not going to lie. I can't remember everybody, but I will be reaching out to everybody individually just to say thank you. My main man, Fahim Ahmed, Fatim Hamed, my main man, Big Brother. Thank you so much. Give a shout out. I gave some shout outs earlier to people, but we're going to have a whole rolling list because this is something that's really, really unique and special. I've had people who have donated. Imam Jahari Abdul Malik donated, and this is the time, brothers and sisters. And I know, just from speaking from the heart, that this whole idea of trying to give IT to returning felons or formerly incarcerated, it's not a popular idea. They are listed in many regards as statistically throwaways, and I want to reverse that piece. I don't feel that way, and I believe that a lot of people out there do not feel that way. All right. So also a couple of people on the men want to give a shout out to Javed Ali's dad, Dawood Muhammad's dad, and of course our sister Nia Dixon. We need to check in on Sister Nia. Sister Satana, if you haven't already talked to her, let's give her a shout out. Let her know we're thinking of her. Okay. So here we are, brothers and sisters. This is Jews number 16. I told you guys that Ramadan is it's firing through. I can't believe it. At the end of this week, we will literally be looking at Night of Power Days, the last 10 days. So I want everybody to, in some regards, be aware of that. But do your due diligence on yourself and your activities, because I'm going to talk a little bit about Ramadan, but I want to put it in the process of what does prophetic tradition mean for Muslims and non-Muslims. As people who are celebratory of the Abrahamic faith, there's something that needs to be said about the fact that we fall outside of the expectation and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, Yahweh. We fall outside that pleasure because over and over and over again, we look at the benchmarks. We look at the people that bring us pure messages, and for some reason, we cannot bring ourselves to the fact that we need to be humble, that someone brought us information about ourselves, whether it was good information or bad information, it was honest information. And clearly, over and over and over again, as we begin to look at, I felt bad for Pope Francis, who talked about an Easter of war. I never heard a Pope talk about an Easter of war, speaking to the fact that this holy tradition of Easter, and believe me, I did a ton of Easters when I was a kid. I ate a lot of boiled eggs. One of my flyest suits was from Miss Ruby. Miss Ruby, my mom knows. I was killer, and then I think she had a suit for me from Morton's, but we won't get into that. I think Morton's is burned down, out of business. Hopefully both. Okay, so here's the thing. I was a little under the weather, and sometimes when you're under the weather, you really look at the pragmatism of people's actions. Like, how do people, in some regards, fit their actions in terms of a prophetic process? You know, clearly throughout history, we all know this. None of the prophets were really popular during their time. None. If you go down the line, all of them had people in constituencies that rejected them or did not like them. There are always cases that they had to stand and speak truth to power to the largest folks, the Goliaths, the Pharaohs, and all those type of things. And over and over again, it returns to the fact that the message is simple, though. It's only two messages: bearing glad tidings or bearing a warning. And at one point in time, where are we to the fact that we can't handle either one? You know, when we talk about this whole thing in Ukraine and Russia, we knew something like this was going to happen. We knew. The dullest person in the world, the person who's not the smartest, knew that if you looked at all of the parties and lined them up, they all had the same trajectory. And here's the trajectory that they had. They didn't listen to prophetic tradition. Falling outside of word of God, will of God, all these type of things, imposing the fact that they want to be God, creates all kind of chaos, and is always on a consistent basis. You know, there's a legitimate thought that people go out and do things, understanding clearly that what they do, what they're actually going to do, are going to harm the innocent. And I have a big problem with people doing actions that harm the innocent. You know, it's not even the scope of bullying. It's people that have expectations that they're better than you in this situation. They think better than you, and that their causes or their priorities are much higher than yours when they're not. Literally, when they're not. You're talking the luck of a draw if you get to be a senator or a congressperson or a policeman, or if you're just a guy that pushes a fruit basket. It is the luck of the draw. And in that space, you have to figure out, how can I improve myself? How can I evolve where I am and make the situation around me better? It seems to me that as we get higher and higher and people try to get more powerful and powerful, the wheels fall off the wagon. The wheels literally fall off the wagon, or the track falls off the tank if you're looking at the war thing. Here's my thing, though. Why do we tolerate it? Why do we tolerate it? In my own personal history with dealing with people, some people feel like I'm some kind of super duper conservative. Like, oh, I'm really strict. And I'm like, where does this come from? And I told them, you're mistaking my discipline for devotion. Meaning that, yeah, I try to make a majority of my prayers every once in a while. You wake up late and you ask for forgiveness, you make the prayer anyway. You know, sometimes you're doing Ramadan and somebody jumps in front of you in traffic, you let a right one go, but you ask for forgiveness. This is the compliment of being human and understanding that the scope of all this stuff we're talking about is built on mercy and forgiveness. Mercy and forgiveness. If you flip that around, no mercy, no forgiveness, this is what you have now. And you have a life of people, a lifetime of people who will grow up believing, unless they are informed otherwise, that somehow this is the way it's supposed to be. Now, we can say and point out a whole lot of examples. I can talk about in the Muslim tradition. I can talk about in the Christian tradition. I was in both of them. And at times I felt like I was off put. That what the reverend was saying and sometimes what the imam was saying was archaic to me, because they didn't connect with the people who had come for a message. They come for a message of inspiration. They come for a message of maturity. How do I get from point A to point B? And all I saw was this self-grandizement and the band and stuff like that. You could have stayed home and read your Bible, not do that. Over and over and over again, it becomes much more commonplace because people, for lack of a better word, are not creative in how they pursue their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll say it again. People become very uncreative in how they pursue their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Too many people in this faith and other faiths have gotten comfortable. That the scope that's been out for the last 5-10 years, we talk about 9/11, 2001, 20 years ago. There are children who grow up thinking that this homophobia, homophobia and Islamophobia has a normative value to it. Almost like there are kids, black kids, brown kids who will grow up reading book, understanding that America didn't have a problem with racism. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back. I got a video queued up. So I hope you guys don't mind. I'm in my video space. I got my main men, Native Dean, coming up. Everybody enjoy. Ramadan is here.
Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here.
So they sighted the moon, it's Ramadan. Now I got a plan before it's come and gone. Getting close to Allah, spend a lot of time. See the condition of my heart like a sonogram. Everybody knows we got to fast, but does everybody know how the time is passed? Is it sleeping all day and the night's a blast, and forgetting the reward in the month is past? I know you gonna wake up right, drinking water, maybe being pie, praying at sunrise, fast in the day, keeping that dean tight, breaking fast with some dates, taught we at night. Alright. It's a blessed month, doesn't mean that it's hard that you can't have fun, but strive in your heart for your Lord the one, and be blessed by Allah when the month is done.
Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here.
Yeah, come on. Yo. 4 minutes left, mom bust in the door like, get yourself up, you about to miss sahur. Turkey bacon on the plate, but I'm beefing. I'm upstairs sleeping while they down here eating. Scenes like this, it makes me reminisce what it meant growing up with Ramadan as a kid. My homies buying up the corner store. Now latest quarter waters. We break it 8, but it's 3:45. They got jokes like, oh yeah, he's fasting. Something about blessings, heaven everlasting. Asking like it feds up on me. But dude, let me ask you for real. Is you hungry? I hunger for the day when the sins on my slate be as empty as the food on my plate. And if you got jokes, man, here's a taste. Take a little fastest breath to the face.
Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here.
Ramadan vibrations, more donations, dinner invitations, many supplications. Good behavior means better reputations. Don't start nothing, no provocations. No fighting, no argumentation. From the fitness and the drama, take a vacation. Mosque is packed with a huge congregation. Some just come as an annual visitation. Some just come for the hum of the recitation. Memorization of revelation. Less temptation and more contemplation. Getting ready for the Eid celebration. Shake a lot of hands, giving salutations. Salam alaikums, peace upon the nation. The world is one, forget the segregation. Another Ramadan, congratulations.
Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here. Ramadan is here.
It's here. Ramadan. It's here. Ramadan. Let's go. Ramadan. Let's go. It's time for Ramadan. It's here. It's time for Ramadan. Time to fast. Time for Ramadan. Let's go. It's time for Ramadan. Get up. Get up. Get up. Come on. Come on.
All right. Ramadan is here. You got Josh sitting on the moon. Now that's Tough segue, but I follow it. I will follow it. Listen, we will go ahead and give out shout outs to our shout out families. We got stars in the building. Let's go ahead and get them in here. Sister Zatanna, first up. We got Sister Ree talking about hello families. Hello family to you. We are blessed. Hope that you having a blessed Easter, Sister Ree. And I hope that you're enjoying yourself. You have a nice feast lined up for yourself and Juwan. Shout out to Derek, who's working, doing his due diligence out in Oklahoma, working hard. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Next up, we got Ramadan Mubarak and Happy Easter. Mom going for the twofer. I see Mary Moss going for the twofer. Thank you so much, Ramadan Kareem. And happy Easter to you. Hopefully I talked with Aunt Maxine earlier today. Hopefully you guys will be able to get together a little later in the week. She was a little under the weather, so we want to make sure everybody's safe and healthy when we get together for Easter. So you got some time. So shout out to Mama San, better known as Mary Moss. Next up, my main man, Altaf Rashid. What's going on, beloved? Call him. It's 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. The Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. Do not be fooled. I hope you enjoyed your guy yesterday, Nader Khan, man. That was a really good interview. I have to thank everybody who tuned in for the Saturday Spotlight. Much appreciation for everybody. He felt really comfortable, and it just flowed, man. That was probably one of our best shows that we've had in quite a long time. And I didn't give you salams. Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah barakatuh to you, my good friend. Next up, Brother Bilal Salahuddin, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and your family, my brother. Shout out to Sister Sonia Dalton. We don't know if she's in the next room or she's in the room with you, but give that sister a big hug and give her, of course, the greeting from everybody here on the Shout Out Show. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your light and sharing your nur, and we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Shout out to you. Next up, my main man, my little brother, Johnny L. Thomas. What's going on? Man, good to see you. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't know if you're doing your fast this year. You're going to do the last part. I don't know. It doesn't matter, man. It always feels like we're on this path together. For a lot of you guys don't know, JT has been doing Ramadan with me for a lot of years, going back to when I lived in Milwaukee. So you're talking about the early to mid 90s. That's real talk. So thank you so much for your support, man. Please give a shout out to all the Thomas women and the Thomas men, my young nephews. Tell them to call and check on their uncle. Don't tell them I don't have to show up unexpected and give them a beat now. All right. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our illustrious consultant producer, Sister Satana Whitfield. I'm sorry, Satana. She's like, you got problems. I do have problems. So apologies, but thank you so much for coming on the show. And everybody give Satana a big round of applause. She worked that back in yesterday. That production was flawless, and we just moved it around. It didn't even feel like an hour. It felt like 25 minutes almost. But that's the way it works when we're doing good work. So I want to give a shout out for that. Okay, let's talk about this whole idea. I talk about prophets don't play around. You know, throughout history, after the last prophet, and we have the concept of the last prophet, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, that you don't really have the whole idea of a spiritual nature coming to visit on people. Like, we have people who want to present themselves as divine, but don't have the protocol nor the pedigree to paint themselves as prophets. The scope of prophethood is so vast and so rich that you really can't understand it because it follows a certain chain of command. And that chain of command has been broken for quite a number of years. When you look and investigate in terms of what is prophetic tradition, but also what is prophetic relevance, you'll find that someone who was not here, they might have said some 800 years ago, it still has relevance now. You know, I'm always careful to say things that are prophetic because sometimes I get ahead of myself talking about prophetic. But when we're talking about prophetic tradition, you're talking about people who are chosen. These are human beings who are chosen. They're not elected. They're not voted on. They're not that, brothers and sisters. That they are sent to humanity for a specific purpose. Up to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Everyone was sent to their particular people. So Moses went to the Hebrews, Jesus went to the Jews, and so on and so on and so forth. And Muhammad at the end, he was sent as a mercy to all mankind. Here's the thing that I don't want us to miss. Number one, being a prophet is a tough job. It's a very extremely tough job because you're carrying a message that is not necessarily hitting right then, but it's so comprehensive and wide, you have to give it to it for everybody. Thus, you will have people who will not catch on to something until 10, 15, 20 years later. I was talking to a good friend of mine about 3 weeks ago. We were talking about how he came back to Christianity. He said, he was reading something about Prophet Isa, and he said he missed that when he was 20. He said he missed this particular component about Prophet Isa when he was 20. And what he missed was that Prophet Isa was relatable, that he connected to the human being or the aspect of human relationships across the board. So we can say he was for the Hebrews, but he has a universal implication in everything that has to do with positive human growth and development. We at these days and times seem to forget that being a prophet was serious business. That if you didn't want to listen to what they said, believe me, they only said it a certain amount of times. And then the cleanup came. The cleanup is, well, you didn't want to listen to what he said. Here are the ramifications and the truth of what they spoke of. And now you have to deal with that. Over and over and over again, I'm trying to remember and keep in the front of my mind the fact that there are things that I've looked at from religious texts and simply implemented it in some of the things I do. And I can see a difference, if you will. I can see an exception in the quality of life. I was just telling this to a good friend of mine. I would say, you know what? They asked me how I was doing. I said, man, I am in this space where I am really, really experiencing joy. I'm experiencing joy. I'm not worried about doing the right thing or what this person is saying and because I'm clued into a particular type of text that allows me to experience joy and, most importantly, share joy. So over and over, I say this and I don't want to be redundant. But as you read Jude 16, just like Jude 15, understanding, even going back to ShOUT, you're talking about people who were divinely dropped in the presence of mankind. And mankind didn't respond to them well. In fact, mankind tried to run them out of town. Either try to kill them or have wars against them. And you have to understand the nature and, I want to say, the persistency of these people to still stay and give a real message. In our time, we've had people who, they weren't prophets, but I always respected Muhammad Ali. I always respected Malcolm X. I always respected Martin Luther King. I always respected Fannie Lou Hamer because they had a message that was so profound and a bedrock for how America is supposed to be happening. America is supposed to be reacting to Black people and their quest for freedom and identity. That you watch them, you say, this is amazing. This is amazing. And it is only a small part of what we're talking about. The fact that when you're talking about Sir Koff, you're talking about different relationships to people, relationships to power, relationships to faith, relationships to wealth, relationships to mercy. You're talking about all these things, and it's really, really small Jews, brothers and sisters. And the gem of this is, if I can call it the gem of it is, it's just so accessible. It's like if you had a remake for a song, you could literally change the names of the people in the song, put it out, and people will find all kind of extensive understanding and meaning for the song. Over and over and over again. And I tell folks this, and I remind myself before I remind you, while I'm not perfect, I want to say that us having a relationship with our Quran, with our Bible, with the Torah, with family, with good friends, with the elderly, is a stroke of emotional intelligence. We are doing smart things, is what I'm saying. And if we can somehow consensually let that be the thing that we lead with, as opposed to our ego, our arrogance, these are the things that create these better worlds. These are the things that lead us to not to have to listen to the Pope say, this is an East of war. And the best thing I like about the prophets, and I don't want to go too long, but every prophet, let me repeat, every prophet in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Torah, evidenced something that every other person that claimed they were a prophet couldn't do. All of them were high-end executors on the space of accountability. high-end executors on the space of accountability. One of the things now with Islamic scholarship, and I speak from that, is that we like to talk a good game, but when we don't win the game, we don't want to talk about the accountability of why we didn't do it. We don't want to say that we made a mistake here. We don't want to say that we didn't put our best effort here. And we haven't throughout religion and politics and all of that. But my point is, this is why the prophets don't play around. Because that scope of high-end accountability is what makes them special. We talk about, I used to do whole comedy skits on Noah trying to convince people to get in this ship back in the day. Bill Cosby did a good one. I felt like I did a better one because I looked at the text. But just the fact that here's a guy who was ridiculed, scoffed at, spent hundreds of years trying to tell people this flood is going to come. And even when he built an ark, even his son, his own kin said, I'm not getting on the ark. I'll find refuge in the rocks above. And then it wiped away. Lut was the same way. Noah was the same way. Moses, I mean, come on. That's a whole comedy skit. Flip Wilson should have done that whole skit with Moses and Pharaoh. How many miracles do you need? Frogs, locusts, the Nile turns into blood. I'm sorry. How many do you need? You think he's a magician? He's not a magician. The power is so in depth, brothers and sisters. When the magicians throw down the staff and it turns into a snake, Moses throws down his staff, it turns into a snake and eats the other snakes. All I'm saying is, brothers and sisters, respect the prophets. Respect them, and the way you respect them is learn more about them. I would take the lead saying I need to know more about them so we all can have that conversation. So as we wrap up, let me say, first off, shout out for everybody that's celebrating Passover, everybody celebrated Good Friday, everybody celebrating Easter, everybody that's locked in during Ramadan, during your fast, those who are fasting, those who had intentions to fast. God bless you, and may Allah continue to expand your scope and your spirit and your ability to serve him and serve others. All right, so let's go to the wrap. The wrap is pretty easy today. We want to give a shout out, of course, to Islamic Relief USA, who's been supporting us. This is the first time they've been involved with the Ramadan 30 for 30. I have to say, in some regards, and Satana, you can voice your opinion. I think it helped us we got a lot tighter on this show with overlays and things like that, and our conversation and the presentation of the show really got tight. You know, I'm really excited when the 30 for 30 is over, some of the things we'll be able to do. And alhamdulillah, we're able to get back into our Saturday spotlights that were amazing and dynamic. Brother Zachariah Abdurrahman and Brother Nader, I mean, they were amazing. Inshallah, next week we're going to have Ustad Abaydullah Evans of Alam Academy, and he's a young Islamic scholar. I might show a clip of him off the Zakat Curious special that we did just to take a look at him, but he's an amazing guy. If he was an imam, if he wasn't an imam, I call him Imam Frankie Beverly. He's that smooth. So I want everybody to please, if there's anything that you didn't like, you can put it in the comment section. Anything you agree with, you can put it in the comment section. Want to give a shout out. We didn't forget you, brother. Shout out. Well, I look at my salon to my main man, Eric Carter. We want to give a shout out to BeFinancialIndependent.com. Call 202-508-3780. Again, that's 202-508-3780. Give a shout out to ushub.tv. Want to give a special shout out to Olive Branch Muslim Family Services, celebrating getting a huge grant, $100,000 to serve the population of Houston. I want to also give a shout out, of course, to I haven't done it in a while, but I'm going to give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate School, and I want to give a shout out to Convenient Urgent Care. Shout out to my main man, Jazz Siad. So that's what we have, brothers and sisters. And I want to give a shout out to everybody out there that's tuned in to the Sim Preacher Moss, the prison campaign that's donated. May Allah multiply your generosity back to you and your family. I am hyped, brothers and sisters. I am hyped, but right now I'm pretty tired. So I'm going to get out of here. God bless you. Inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's a wrap. Ramadan 30 for 30.
We just need help.
Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say, we need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time, but leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear, support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Sing it with me.
Ooh. Ooh.